Before I get started, I want to clarify that yes, I am going to explain what happens at the end of the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet. If you don't want to know what happens, don't watch this video. That might seem obvious to a lot of you, but I want to make that completely clear. Anyway, I don't think it's a stretch to claim that Tenet is the most anticipated movie of 2020. No one knew anything about it, except that it involved time travel, and the film's mythology only grew as every other film set to release in the first half of 2020 was delayed because of the pandemic. Tenet was eventually delayed too, but only a little bit. And as such, it is going to come out before a lot of the movies that were supposed to come out earlier. This is not an accident. Nolan wanted this to be the film that gets people back in theaters. Whether or not you're ready to go to a theater now, and I understand if you're not, especially if you're in the United States, the industry has hit such a rough patch because of COVID that it's nice to see it starting to revive. I don't want every movie theater chain to be bankrupt and bought out by Amazon. That said, is the film good? What happens in it? Does Nolan deliver on one of his characteristic mind-bending twist endings? As for the film, I think it's very good. If you are a Nolan diehard, I can guarantee that you'll love it. Our main character is just called the protagonist, which fits, as Nolan's films have always had something of a metafictional quality. Think of Inception, where dream creation is something of a loose metaphor for filmmaking. Cobb is the director, and each of the film's other main characters represent important roles in the filmmaking process. If you haven't heard of that theory before, I recommend you check it out. But back to Tenet. The protagonist is assisting an operation in Kiev, Ukraine, when he is saved by a man with a red string on his back. The protagonist is later tortured. He attempts to consume a pill to commit suicide, only for him to learn that this was all just one big test. They wanted to make sure he was loyal. He becomes part of a secret organization, and he is told to use the word Tenet. Nolan's extensive use of this word is less for its actual meaning, which is equivalent to just a part or an aspect of something, and more because the word is a palindrome, as in it's the same forward and backward. This fits the film's ideas about time and time travel. Time travel exists, the protagonist learns, but not in the present. Rather, it exists in the future. Objects can travel backward in time, their entropy reversed. It's why our protagonist is told that he's not shooting the bullets as much as he is catching them. After learning this, he endeavors to find the source of the reversed bullets, which leads him to an Indian billionaire. The billionaire's wife reveals that this time reversal is occurring because of a Russian oligarch played by the obviously non-Russian Kenneth Branagh. Because when you think of evil Russians, you think of Gilderoy Lockhart. All jokes aside, he's quite good in the role. I enjoyed him. The protagonist tracks down the wife of the Russian. He thus stumbles into an ambitious action sequence. Our heroes have to smash a plane into a building in order to find a painting. However, they're attacked by two dudes wearing masks, one of whom uses time-reversed bullets. The assailants escape, but our mission is successful and the protagonist can finally meet the Russian oligarch, who does not trust the protagonist, rightly believing that the protagonist wants to put a stop to his plans. The protagonist can only convince the Russian by helping him steal plutonium. If this sounds a little like a Bond film, that's because it kind of is. Nolan has always been inspired by 007, an influence that is particularly evident in Inception. But this film takes it a step further. If Nolan was asked to make a Bond film, it would look something like this. It's arguably the action movie of the year. It's genuinely thrilling. As the film progresses, the protagonist's attempt to find the plutonium is successful, but then he encounters a time-reversed car. Using a temporal stile, the Russian and his cronies can travel both forward and backward in time, making them twice as dangerous. When the protagonist uses the stile to follow the Russian, he discovers that the Russian was secretly the driver of the time-reversed car. Still, he is unable to stop the Russian from succeeding and stealing the plutonium. Now, you might ask yourself, why does the Russian want all this plutonium? And the answer is that he wants to kill everyone, but it's a little more complicated than that. The Russian is dying. He has inoperable cancer, and this has made him spiteful. If he is not going to live, then he does not want anyone else to live either. His plan is to travel back in time, then reverse entropy for the entire planet. The protagonist obviously does not want this to occur. Killing billions of people is something we usually try to prevent. Now, here's where things really start getting interesting. Multiple timelines converge. And it's revealed that the masked assailant who tried to attack them last time was in reality the protagonist himself. It's a cool twist, and not the only one the film has to offer. The protagonist, along with his handler Neil, played by Robert Pattinson doing his best Christopher Hitchens impression, come to an abandoned city. Their plan is to retrieve the Doomsday device and stop everyone from dying. The Russian's wife eventually kills him, and this could have triggered the Doomsday device, as the Russian had programmed it to activate upon his death. But the protagonist and Neil are able to retrieve the device in time. As the operation progresses, the protagonist spots a red string on Neil's back. This means Neil is in reality the person who saved him at the beginning of the film. Again, very clever. But the film saves its biggest twist for its ending. After averting complete apocalypse, the protagonist has to once again travel through time to stop the Russian's wife, Kat, from being killed. As he does this, we learn the protagonist has been leading the organization in the past, long before the events of the movie. You can ask whether this works, logically or narratively, but I think it does if you can wrap your mind around it. Nolan has always been a clever director, and this is no exception. Among his twists, this is less comparable to the enigmatic spinning top at the end of Inception, and more comparable to the twist at the end of Interstellar. In that movie, the human race survives and is able to rescue Cooper, that film's protagonist, because Cooper is able to reach across space and time and give his daughter the information she needs to help humanity advance technologically in the future. This is similar, as we know by the end of this film that the protagonist has set the events of the film in motion. The protagonist is the uncertain man who has no idea what's going on, and he is also the mastermind who stops the planet from being destroyed, saving the human race. Just like the word Tenet, that palindromic word, or, for that matter, Nolan's own Memento, this film works forward and backward. Perhaps Nolan was reluctant to call this a time travel movie, instead preferring the term inversion, because time travel presumes that time flows linearly, and one travels back and forth on that line as though traversing down a road or path. Tenet is different. Time here is not linear. It can move forward and backward at the same time. This is why the word tenet is so powerful here. As a palindrome, it reveals that how time works is identical, whether you're viewing it from moving from the past to the future, or moving from the future to the past. It's paradoxical, but Nolan pulls it off. That's why the protagonist isn't given a name, he's an archetypal character. In reality, he exists at two different points in time, each representing a different version of himself. Versions of himself with different levels of experience. Both of them are still the true protagonist. It's a fascinating idea to try and wrap your head around. Nolan's made another mind-bending, extremely creative film. People will be arguing about this one for years, just like they've been arguing about Inception and Interstellar, and that is, in my mind, a very good thing. It's always good to have more interesting films to discuss. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Sorry I couldn't use more footage from the film, but that amount of footage really isn't available yet. I hope I explained things clearly enough. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.